what treatments are available for people that are having these?
So if we look at some categories to run through with migraine in general, and a lot of this discussion is going to have some overlap between the subtype of migraine that has the headache, the subtype of migraine that is missing the headache. So like I said, the literature is sparse with some of that information.
Right.
So I'll do my best to delineate. But again,
So for the most part, assume that it covers all of it.
Yes.
There may be some where it's not.
Some overlap.
Okay.
Of course. So looking at these categories, we have prophylactic or preventative treatments. We have acute treatments or treatments that you can employ when you notice the symptoms. And then we'll sort of lump the supplements and such into other options, which can either be used prophylactically or they can be used acutely. So looking at the preventative options that do have some evidence, at least these are some things that she can mention to her doctor. The anti-epileptic drugs seem to be very effective in this realm. So we have Lamictal and Keppra are the two big ones. They are generally well tolerated. They've been around for a long time. I know some people will, have the tendency to shy away from those, but nonetheless, those are options to at least ask about.
Right.
Topiramate is another option, which seems to fall more in the category of the headache subtype from what we see. Still worth mentioning. That is used for a handful of other things as almost like a double edge if she does have some coexisting conditions.
Sure. Yeah.
Switching gears in this subset of preventative options, we're looking at daily aspirin.
Okay.
And so looking at these options, it'll start to highlight maybe what's happening at the level of the brain. Like, why is this happening?
Right.
And so the mechanism of the medications can indicate maybe what's happening physiologically or pathophysiologically. So the first two, the anti-epileptics, there's some sort of wires crossed.
Right.
With the brain that these are helping to combat. It's much more complicated than that, but we'll just just leave it at that. Aspirin is almost reflective of some sort of vascular issue maybe that's happening in the brain. And some of the research almost refers to the underlying causes potentially as almost microemboli or like these little clots.
Wow.
That are in the blood vessels. I would be curious to, learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, highlights maybe why aspirin use, daily low dose aspirin, has a role in this setting. The other option kind of goes along the same path would be calcium channel blockers. Those are typically used as blood pressure medications, blood pressure lowering medications. Essentially what these are vasodilatory in nature. So they open up the blood vessels a little bit, sort of connects us to the issue or the uses that aspirin has.
Right.
There's something going at the level of the vasculature in the brain.
And it seems, am I right in thinking that those would be the ones that are more likely to tie in with stroke?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Their beta blockers are often used as well. Another blood pressure lowering medication. These calcium channel blockers seem to have less of an issue with side effects for the most part.
Always good.
So that, I would say, covers the preventative medicines.
Okay.
And then if we look at the acute options.
So while it's actually happening.
Yes. And again, we're still biasing this towards the aura specific subtype, but some overlap.
Yep.
Magnesium.
Yep.
Is an option. What I primarily see in the research talks about intravenous magnesium sulfate.
Oh, wow.
So if you're in the hospital, I believe that this is a pretty commonly used option to try to just stop a migraine with aura in its tracks. I found that interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about magnesium orally later on.
Mm-hmm.
Ketamine is another option. This is being looked at a little more commonly now in actually some small randomized trials. It's obviously an off-label use, and it's primarily used intranasally. And then intranasally, very intranasal, intravenous, obviously what you can deduce there is a very quick onset to action.
Right.
The other options, I found this one interesting, furosemide, which is another blood pressure medication. Now, this is more specifically tied to the role of potassium in some of the issues underpinning the cause of migraines. And so this reduction in potassium that furosemide causes is thought to, maybe lead to its therapeutic benefit.
Maybe avoid bananas.
Avoid bananas. Yeah. This is bananas, bro. The last option I want to at least mention is it's called single pulse transcranial magnetic stimulation.
Ooh.
And so it's almost this, it's short for it is STMS. And it's almost like this device that goes on your head or the back of your head that is basically non-invasive brain stimulation. So it's not really widely available at this point, but it looks like it has the potential to help either acutely and in the prevention setting. But it's not like a virtual reality device that people with migraines have sitting at home.
Right.
Throw one on.
It's like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. He's got that big helmet on. 121 gigawatts.
That's right.
That's not a thing. Don't look for that at your local pharmacy or ask your doctor for it, because that's not a thing.